What's going on, y'all? This JB with another Executive Mindset, and I want to get into this smoke and mirrors with this Joe Rogan case. I tried to avoid it. I saw something maybe a week or two ago about Neil Young and him getting into with Joe Rogan with his podcast, and so I did my due diligence a little bit and did the research of it, and come to find out, which no surprise at all, this is what I will call a smoke and mirrors. And if people that are not familiar with smoke and mirrors, basically the definition of that is that term is used to describe ways of tricking people or hiding the truth. And with this thing with Joe Rogan, let me first say I am a black male in America. And so any white man or anybody outside of our culture saying the N-word, you know what I'm saying, it's not cool. It's no way to try to justify that. I still use the term. Not saying it's the best thing to do, yada, 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 but him saying those things were wrong, point blank, period. And him coming out and apologizing for that, I salute Joe Rogan for that. But just look at the facts, y'all. Look at the facts. He has close friends, people that really know him, like Snoop Dogg, like Jay Prince, like Dave Chappelle. These dudes vouch for Joe Rogan. And actually recently Jay Prince came out and basically said, Joe Rogan he's not a racist. Like he said, he knows this brother, he called him a brother, so look at that for one. So now getting into the real reason why they trying to get rid of Joe Rogan. And this is to no surprise if anybody that has been listening to our Presidential Executive Podcast. Me and my homie Rag, we've been on these what we call the Kooky Pack, the shots, all this stuff pretty heavily over the past year that we've been doing the pod and stuff. And so all this stems back from this. Joe Rogan over the past 4 to 6 months has had some of the most polarizing scientists in the game, as far as Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone. These are people that are on the front lines of the Kooky Pack, or the virus that's out there that caused the pandemic and all that stuff. Like, these people were on his show, and really for 2 or 3 hours, I remember I listened to the whole one he did with Peter McCullough, and he went all the way in with facts, with medical data, really hitting on the narrative that's been out there with all these mandates and stuff about these shots and everything. And so, and if you look at Joe Rogan has over, just about probably 12 million subscribers, especially on YouTube, probably on his podcast too, on a weekly basis. So his influence out there is massive. And so at this point, they're trying to get him pretty much for anything that they can find, because all the racial slurs and stuff like that they're finding, you got to go back in the archive, over 10 years or so, it's the type of language and stuff he was using. And so you got to think, why are they trying to bring this stuff up now? Is it just because he's just this terrible person? No, it's because this man is influential, and he has put a lot of factual information out there, and the proof is in the pudding. And if you look at what's going on out here left and right, if you got to actually go search for this news out there in Google, like, a lot of mandates are being, shot down, for these shots, for good reason, because a lot of stuff is being proved out. It's not what people have been telling us over this past year and a half. And so, and Joe Rogan and his podcast has been instrumental in actually exposing that and putting that out there. And so this is the real reason why they're trying to, quote unquote, cancel Joe Rogan. But I think Joe Rogan is such a machine and so big right now that it's going to be very hard to try to cancel dude, because he's already put the stuff out there, and people are going to pay money for them to get on their network or anywhere else where he can continue to produce content. And so now you have some of these artists up in arms too. So now they're trying to take their stuff off Spotify because they don't want to be associated with Joe Rogan, the quote unquote racist that uses the N-word. Like come on, man. This is it's crazy, man. And it's laughable now, but they got a lot of people believing it. And so if you actually look at the facts and kind of see what's going on, again, I'm not trying to take up for Joe Rogan using the N-word or anything like that. But bruh, the whole situation and this stuff happening is no coincidence that they're trying to get him off a platform, trying to cancel him. But this, no doubt, has all to do or most to do with getting him off the platform because of all the stuff that he has said about the virus and the pandemic and the shots and all this stuff and this racial stuff and this N-word stuff, the slur stuff is just a diversion to really get him out of the game, get him out of people's eyes, get him out of people's ears, so they can try to control the narrative again. We've had quite a few episodes on our podcast discussing some of this. And we've even mentioned on more than a few occasions, Rizza Islam. He's a part of the Nation of Islam, and he's been on the front lines on issues like this for well over 5 years, before all this stuff even started. And they have recently just taken him off of Instagram again for the 7th or 8th time. And so it's unfortunate, man, because I just hate to see my people get bamboozled into this whole racial conversation, and then put on top of that the stuff with Coach Brian Flores and the lawsuit that he's putting out there against the NFL. It just seems like every time when real issues come up that we're actually having, they try to distract people with another racial story, another racial profile thing to try to cancel somebody or to put stuff up front of how stuff is unequal and all this stuff, and to not really talking about what's really going on, what's really the main issues and stuff out here. So yeah, let me know what y'all think, man, with this Joe Rogan thing, because most of the stuff that I've been seeing, that I've been looking at, is just, to me, it's total BS. Because although Joe Rogan was wrong and he actually came out and apologized for using the N-word, it's a way bigger storm out there against him, and it has nothing to do with him being a racist or him saying the N-word. It has all to do with them trying to control the narrative or try to hurt his influence that he has already out here in the culture because of these shots, because of this kooky pack. Let me know what y'all think.